Hello and welcome to Aksumawine Media. My name is Melat Habtu and I'll be hosting Inside Tigray, a show that will give you a Tigrayan perspective on global, continental and statewide affairs. Please tune in, listen, engage and participate for an insightful and constructive discussion. Okay, so hello, thank you for joining us today. A very special guest who's joining us from back home from Tigray, Shewit Bitew. You guys probably know him. He has done a couple of interviews which have gauged a lot of interest. Thank you, Shewit, for making the effort. And I know it's very difficult right now for joining this morning. So thank you, first and foremost. Secondly, let's just go to introduce yourself. I'm sure many know you, but introduce yourself, who you are, what kind of background you come from, and also what your role is right now in Tigray.
Okay, so my name is Shewit, as you all know, or I'm simply called dep't. So before the struggle, I was kind of doing my own business, kind of a factory and an entertainment business. So a couple of months before the war, I was in California with my sister, younger sister. So I was expecting there's gonna be a war because actually not only me, but every Tagaru was expecting that there's gonna be war. So I was getting ready for that. Honestly, I was mentally ready. So when things began to clash, so I was back to Addis and then back to Tigray. So I joined the army. So that's what I think. That's how I started being a TDF member.
Yeah. So interestingly, I think. You spoke about, because my interest grew as I watched some of your interviews, and you talked about the difficulty of having to, I was actually talking about this with a couple of people. I think there was a story you told maybe about having to accustom yourself to the life in TDF, like the food that you'd eat is not the same as what you're used to, all the things that you were doing before. And, after you got into TDF, there was a real reality check because the environments was completely, opposite ends, very different. So how did you manage to really overcome those kind of difficulties and integrate yourself into TDF?
Honestly, I wasn't expecting that much. So I thought I was kind of brave enough because I've been doing a couple of martial arts when I was a kid. So I thought it's going to be difficult, but it's not going to be difficult. So I thought I was going to do it. I thought it was going to be easy. Then after that, when I went to Tigray, it's so difficult. So honestly, it's so difficult to manage. But we had hope. We had hope that, and then we knew. Not only the hope, but we knew that we're gonna win the war. So everything was like easy, honestly. Like not eating for days, not drinking water for days. Even the road was so difficult because Tigray, that it's mountain everywhere. So it was a little bit difficult. But as I told you, that we had hope. We had high hope that. We're going to win the war. We're going to win the war for our people and for Tigray. So everything seems possible. So we keep going.
Yeah, great. Okay, very interesting. I think a lot of people who wanted to be involved in the struggle, it's very hard to change that environment and accustom yourself so quickly into that environment, because that is a complete different end of the spectrum. So I think a lot of people have admiration for you, including myself, have admiration for you because of that as well. That's a very big thing. It's not a very easy. Today's conversation, I kind of want to speak about what you, Shewit, what you believe in, what you're involved in, how you're impacting the society in Tigray. So one of the things that I think was very, you were outspoken about was the need for security in Tigray, the need for ensuring that there is long-lasting security in Tigray. Right, and with the current with the peace agreement that is being implemented, what is the general sentiment? I mean, you're a part of the TDF, and what is the general sentiment within the TDF members about the whole disarming? And do they feel like the security that is entailed in the peace agreement has been granted for them to disarm?
Honestly, I don't think the peace is going too well. So we need peace as a Tigray. We've been at war for about more than 2 years. So it's been difficult because many of our people are dying not because of the war, but because of the cause of the war. They haven't had anything to eat, or they haven't had anything to do. So many people were dying, like more than 800,000 and a couple of million. So for us, that's a big number. Actually, I have said it before, and one Tigray is huge. It's big. So we lost a couple of 100,000 people, and then when the peace comes, everybody was excited because we wanted peace. We wanted to go back to our lives, but I don't think it's going well. But it's going well a little bit. Not as we expected it, because some of the things that are being released, like an internet or the phone, that's our human right. We have the right to access that. But we have been at war for about 2 years, so we are expecting that to be like a big deal. So it's not a big deal. And then in the deal they made the deal that when the Shewit soldiers leave Tigray, that we're gonna give up our weapons. So we have said it before as a TDF member. It's not even about the demand. So even though the federal government or the Ethiopian government hadn't asked it, if we had peace, we're gonna give out our weapons. We don't need our weapons. So we wanted to express our feelings through peaceful ways. We don't even gonna go to war. But I don't think that's going on because the Shewit soldiers are still in Tigray, and then we have given up our tanks, our heavy weapons that we brought, sacrificing a lot of people. So the way it's going, I don't think the so-called Tigrayan government is taking advantage of that. I think the Ethiopian government is taking more advantage on the peace deal than we do. So I think we have to we have to question everything. Where is this going? And then what are they doing? So what are we gaining? We don't gain anything till now. So people think that we're getting a phone, we're getting some little access, bank access. Even the banks are giving about 1,500, 2,000 per week or per month. So I don't think that's fair for the people. So what have we gained so far? So that's the big question to ask, I think.
Which actually, I think that's a very important point, like leading me on to my next question, actually, which is what changes have you seen as a resident of someone who lives in Tigray? What changes have you seen? What changes has been made to the people's daily life after the peace agreement? So in the last especially in the last couple of weeks, we saw drastic changes with some areas of telecommunication being restored. So what do you feel like you've seen a significant change in, or is there not any?
Honestly, almost nothing. Because you have seen more than 70 or 75% of Tigray is still under the Ethiopian government, Ethiopian soldiers, and then the Shewit. So we are only with maybe 25 or 30% of Tigray. So the 25-30% of Tigray has a little bit access of freedom because the TDF soldiers are here. They feel we have freedom because of our soldiers are here. Other than that, the other places like we can call it Shararo, Adwa, Aksum, and other places all over Tigray are under the dictatorship of Shabians. So we haven't gained almost anything. Maybe we have gained maybe 0.01% because only of the phone, and then the access to greet our family. And then I don't think that's enough. So honestly, almost nothing has been gained so far.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the thing that really resonates with me is the fact that, the TDF members, they're average people, they're working people that left their jobs. I mean, they weren't working anyway because of the siege, but they left their families to go and fight for the honor of the people of Tigray to ensure that our survival is maintained. But in this, it's been 2 years since this war has begun, and some of these fighters, I'm sure there's a sense of fatigue as well. So in contrast, that sense of fatigue and tiredness and wanting for this to all stop, does that feeling in itself outweigh the feeling of the sense of unfairness at the peace deal, the sense of the fact that we were not getting anything out of it, and the sense of the fact that, like you mentioned, Shabia is still, the Eritrean forces, they're still in our land. So the need to still put up a resistance, has that been somehow tainted by the level of extreme kind of conditions that has been inflicted on us, has been inflicted on those who actually went to defend the honor and to maintain the security of the people? Has that, the level of the environment that they have been in for the last 2 years, has that outweighed the need for resistance, you think?
Yeah, kind of, yeah. Because we've been struggling for about 2 years, and then before that there was Corona, the virus. So we've been struggling for a lot. So when we thought they give us a little bit of things, we thought we had enough because of, for example, they opened the airlines. So the people were expecting relief. So they thought everything is going to be okay. Because a couple of months ago, on September, every Tagaru expected that there's going to be peace because it's going to be the new year in Ethiopia, in Tigray. So everybody expected that in September, everything's going to be okay. So when we saw it, almost 3 or 4 months passed. So nothing happened. So when the people got something in return after the peace treaty, they don't expect more. They don't expect much. So when the Ethiopian government, they opened the phone access, everybody was happy. And then our government here, I'm going to call them our so-called government, they stopped asking about the essential questions. Essential questions in the Wolgate region, the Humara region. Our people are dying still there. So they have stopped asking. So we are asking whether if they have given even their country for the deal. And then the next thing is our people in Humara, in Alata, in Koram, our people are still dying. Even the Amhara's region said this is our region. So they have started giving a license. They have started killing the Tagarus, even arresting them, and then the Tagarus have been paying to get their lives back. They are paying not to die. So our so-called government is doing nothing. They haven't asked about Alamata or Koram or Wajat or Nuka. They are not asking anything. So the peace treaty, as I said before, it's not in our favor. It's in the favor of the Tigrayan government and then in the favor of the Ethiopian government. But the people is struggling, and it will keep struggling again until we are going to ask the essential questions.
Okay, so interesting actually, because there's a lot of people that say that we had no option. This peace deal comes out of a lack of options. And regardless of, regardless of leadership or whatever, the options that we were presented were so minimal that we got the short end of the stick. We got the worst end of the deal. And that being, again, the fact that a lot of our land is still occupied by the Eritreans and the Western Tigray by the Amhara forces. And also, we have a lot of, IDPs. We have a lot of political prisoners. There's a lot of questions that this agreement does not answer, but it begins to answer some of the essential questions, which is the immediate, imminent threat to the security and the survival of the people. So do you feel like we are being given crumbs, and that in itself, because of the dire need we're in, because of the dire situation that we're in, it's stopping us from asking the more long-term and the more futuristic kind of questions, the things that will actually affect our states, maybe in a 10-year, 20-year time frame?
Yeah, I mean, there are a couple of things being done. So I think that's nice. The first thing is peace. So that's nice. We need peace for the sake of our people. We need peace. We don't want to go to war because starting from the beginning, we are telling that we don't want the war. But if someone tries to attack us and someone tries to kill us, we are going to defend ourselves. So, okay, at the cost of our people, so we have accomplished this peace. Okay, but still our people are still dying. So at the end, we're going to ask the question, where our people are still dying. So 2 years ago, we started the war because our called government, Ethiopian government, started a war on the people of Tigray. So we are saying, maybe we need, not maybe actually, we need, for example, if you go to rent a house, you need a good brokers, right? So if the one broker you're asking is not good enough, you're going to ask another broker. So as you have seen, some real estate agents are better than the others. So we need good agents for Tigray agents. We need good people. We can go to the European Union, to the Americans, to the whole world, and then defend our country. So if you have good people here, we can do much better than this. But actually not our, some of the TPLF leaders going there, they are not demanding enough for the people. So I think they're demanding a bit less. So when they give them maybe 2% or 3% of something, they accept it and come. So honestly, I don't want to go to war. I don't want to see my people die. I'd rather make peace with my enemies for the sake of my people. But this is not happening right now. So we're still losing people. We are still starving. They don't have lack of medicine. They are dying. But still, we are praising the peace, and then we're not doing anything. So our people must continue struggling. So not in the midst of war. If the enemy is going to come kill us again, we have to defend our people. As I told you, as I said before, our people in Alamada are still dying, and then we are doing nothing. We're just expecting the peace to do something. No, we have to demand more. We have to ask more. So it's not only the people in Magale and around it who is Tigray. We have Tigray everywhere. But everywhere Tigray is still dying. Thousands of people dying per day, not per month or per year. So we are still expecting the peace to do something about it. But the Europeans and then the African unions, they are not going to do anything unless we are strongly demanding what we need and what we want. We have to show them what we are capable of. We have shown them what we are capable of through war. So now we have to show them what we are capable of through peace. So we need another people who can demand for our people, not these guys.
Okay, so I mean, I would say from your reflection as well, I would say that regardless of leadership, the current status of Tigray is within Ethiopia. We are confined within a bigger state, within the Ethiopian Empire. So if we are confined within that state, there's clearly limitations, such as, for example, like you mentioned, our diplomatic tours are very confined to us being, us having a voice through the federal institutions. It's very unheard of where regions have direct foreign relations with other states, for example. So our impact to influence internationally is clearly not the same as, for example, the Ethiopian government, and which might be telling as to why we even got the shorter end of the stick. Maybe it's the state structure in itself. So which actually very leads me to some of the points I think you mentioned before. I know you're a very big nationalist. So when it comes to nationalism, the present day sentiment about nationalism in Tigray it comes from a very deep context of it has a historical context, and that context in itself has cultivated the feeling of nationalism, because we have a very defined history, we have a particular kind of historical roots that we take pride in. So there's a lot of patriotism that comes from that, and then I think consequently that kind of starts nationalism. But after this war, in the last 2 years, has the feeling of nationalism, do you feel like people have seen the fact that Tigray may not actually prosper by itself? Tigray may be obstructed by various limitations, such as her neighbors, like the neighbors that Tigray has. If there is no peace, for example, will we always be confined and restricted, even if we do implement independence and nationalism? Or are people thinking it's the condition that I'm in, it's the environment that I'm in, it's the Ethiopian state that I'm in that's causing security issues? So which sentiment do you think the general population are leaning to?
Okay, yeah, I'm nationalist, and I know Tigray will be Tigray. Tigray will be a country. It might not be today, it might not be tomorrow, but maybe in a year or 2 years, 3 years, Tigray will be a country. I know that because we have sacrificed a lot for this to happen. So I'm pretty sure every Tigray all over the world, or in Ethiopia or in Tigray, wants Tigray to be a country. But we have to work hard for that to accomplish that. For a couple of years, we might be with Ethiopia. We might be work with Ethiopia under the rule of the constitution. But the constitution says we can be a country, and then we can ask peacefully. So we can do that. But the big question is, are our leaders planning to be nationalists? I don't think they are nationalist enough to accomplish this. So we need nationalist leaders for Tigray to be a country, and then to accomplish everything. So our next generations, the kids, the young ones, they need to have a good future, because history is history for a reason. So we have to know our history, and Tagaros, I don't think we know our history well. So and the back history, so the rulers of Ethiopians, starting from even a couple of years ago, starting from Minilik or Haile Selassie, or even the region. Everybody tried to destroy Tagaros. So unless we are trying to be a country, unless we work on that, so we work hard on that, the next king or the next ruler who comes will destroy us all maybe dramatic way. I don't know what they're gonna do, because they have started war. They have tried to wipe out our history. So now they're gonna bring new tactics. So, but I don't think our leaders want that. I don't think, because they have never spoken of Tigray being a country. So we have the right capacity. We have the right people, and our people are strong enough, strong and work-harding people. So when we become a country, we can do good for our next generation to survive. So I know I'm nationalist, but I'm not racist. So as long as I've said this before, as long as even the Amharas or the Eritreans, even the Oromos, everybody, we can be a good neighbors with them, and then we can work on a business matter or in a trade center. We can do anything with them. But being a country is the last thing we're gonna do. So everybody, every Tigray, we can access everything that we have in the business field or a political field, and then we have to destroy our Tigray's propaganda once and for all, because every Tigray has to be back to Tigray, come to Tigray and work hard. So I think we can accomplish that within a couple of years. I have good hope on that.
Okay. Okay. So let's say in Shewit's world, in your prediction, that happens. We go for we become nationalists, and we cultivate that feeling of nationalism within Tigray, and that leads to independence, and Tigray is an independent state. So there have been a couple of neighboring kind of countries that have managed to do that. One is the current invaders in Tigray, Eritrea. Another is South Sudan. So these states, which are actually very closely related to Tigray, have gained their independence. And one thing we've observed clearly from these two states is that their internal democracy has deteriorated, their internal kind of their economy, all of these things, even civil war, especially within South Sudan, these things have happened after independence. One is because it's a reflection of the democracy that did not exist before that independence was declared, right? So do you think that Tigray currently...
Sorry, I couldn't hear you. It's like breaking off.
Oh, you can't hear me?
Yeah, sorry, but it was...
Now?
I couldn't hear you clearly.
Could you hear me now?
Can you repeat that question? Sorry.
Yeah, sure. So my question is, we spoke about nationalist sentiment and that growing, and then let's say that leads to independence, and then Tigray is an independent state. So we have a couple of neighbors who are examples of this. One is the current invaders, Eritrea, who are still in Tigray, and then second is South Sudan, right? And these countries are very closely related to Tigray as well in different kind of aspects, but their internal politics has clearly shown that independence, they did not get what they wanted out of independence for the people anyway. One, South Sudan, extreme civil war, people, extreme kind of atrocities on people from both sides. And Eritrea clearly is not a democracy as we speak. So do you feel like Tigray, as an independent nation, if Tigray was to get that status, do you feel like we reflect, or there is a level of democracy and there's a level of ability for Tigray to continue as an independent state if we have not built the roadblocks from before?
So Eritrea is a dictator, and then we have seen from the South Sudan's, they have been working, they are not doing so well, as we can see, but Tigray can prevail, without these leaders. These leaders will be more dictatorship than the others, because they haven't they have the access to help the young. They have the access to prevent this war, but they haven't done anything so far. So the big thing they have done is like they brought us to war, and then after the war, we're expecting for them to do good things, honestly, because they have seen the war for more than 3 times. The first one was like in the Derg region, and then the second one was like in the Ethio-Eritrea, and this one, the third one. So I thought when they came to Tigray, I thought our leaders were going to do something good. I thought they were going to involve the other parties, involve the youngsters, involve the people with the doctors or engineers or the teachers. Everybody was going to. I thought they were going to ask for help and then to prevent anything, but they didn't do that. They're still accessing their power. They still wanted to be in power. So if Tigray is going to prevail, it's going to prevail one way or another, but not with these leaders. These leaders will destroy Tigray once and for all, and this is the truth. I'm not saying this because I have anything against them, or I'm not saying this I hate them or nothing, honestly, because we've been with them. So when the enemy came to Tigray, we was beside them. We were not against them. We were fighting beside them. So they were supposed to appreciate that. They were supposed to appreciate the young generation, but they didn't do that. They were supposed to appreciate the diasporas who've been crying and crying all year long. They were supposed to appreciate the people of Tigray, giving them food, giving us everything. So they were supposed to appreciate this, but they didn't do that. So you can clearly see that they are going to destroy this country. So that's what we are against that. So our big enemy is, of course, Shewit is our biggest enemy. Even the other Ethiopian parties are our big enemies. We can fight them because Tagar, we are strong. We are strong. We have strong bond. So the bond, you have seen it. Every world has seen it. So we made Tigray huge because of our bond. So we have to struggle this enemy, the enemy inside the Tigray. So Tigray will prevail, but I don't think with these leaders, Tigray will be more than a region. I don't think it's going to be even a region. They are only caring about their power, and they are only caring about themselves. They are not caring about the youngsters, the future generation, and anything like that. So we have to fight this enemy. But other than that, if we have good leadership, and then if we work together, every parties, every Tagarus all around the world, if we work hard, honestly, we can accomplish everything. So I'm 100% sure. Because when we went to war, we were like 9,000 soldiers, 9,000 and few hundreds. We were against a couple of millions of Ethiopian soldiers and Eritreans all over the world. You have seen it, Turk drones and the United Arab Emirates, the Iranians, the Chinese, everyone were against us. But we fought, we were like 9,000. 9,000 of us, we were fighting more than a million people, and then we won because of our bond, because of our honesty, because of our truth. So if you can win a war, we can win also a peaceful revolution. We can win peacefully. We can win peacefully the hearts of the world, and then we have to show them that we can do great. That we are strong people, we are good people, and then we can make peace with any country in East Africa, even all over Africa. So we have to show them that. So in order to do that, we have to work hard, and everybody will have to join forces. Everybody, every Tigray, whether someone is against a party or someone is against a people or some guys. Some of them, they might have hatred against TPLF or some of them. But now it's not about being hateful or hatred. It's about working together. And then our fathers, our elders, they have to show us, they have to help us a way, they have to provide us with everything, not just sticking around and being in power forever, because they're not going to stay forever, and then they're going to destroy the next generation. And then if they destroy the next generation, we're not going to accomplish the country of Tigray. So I think we have to say enough. We have to say we have to do this, and then we have to speak freely. We have to have a free speech. We are not scared of bullets. We are not scared of anything. But sometimes we are scared of talking about the truth. So this is the truth. Our enemies inside Tigray. We have many enemies inside Tigray, saying that they are working for the people, but they are daily destroying the life of the Tigrayan people. So we have not lost hope yet, and then we're not going to lose hope. So we'll do all our best, and then every Tigray has to do their part. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, we have a very strong, as a society, there's a, sometimes I see a strong inclination to label people. So we label people who we don't agree with. We take away people's identity sometimes. I mean, there's a lot of examples in that we see in the way the politics is in our neighbors in Eritrea, by the way they take away their identity if they don't put themselves in line with the dictatorship. So, we see a lot of that coming from where it might be online, it might be generally, it might be through the lack of the pressure that you feel not to be outspoken, the pressure that you feel not to exercise free speech. So we see a lot of pushback in our society itself against people that have free speech. So when you said when it comes back to it being a leadership issue, is the leadership just reflecting the level of tolerance the society has? And if we could clearly seeing a pushback from the society, if we're seeing the lack of acceptance for people to have free speech because people go very quickly to label people, is that not more of a society kind of issue rather than a leadership issue?
Yes, of course, but we have to show them the way. We don't want to talk freely. We don't want to do that because of we thought our enemy is all around us right now. So if we do that, our enemy might attack us, or our enemy might take advantage of it. But this is not about a war right now. This is about people's survival of the Tigray. So if our Tigray people are not eating well, they are still dying. If they are not getting medicine, they are dying. So they have to ask to get that. They have the full right. It's their right. It's even a human right. So they have to ask those questions clearly. I know the people of Tigray it's very honest and strong people. They don't like asking. So they need people for them to speak up. So, for example, I'm doing that, even as a member of a party or as a TDF member. I'm doing that. We have to show them the way. We have to help them the way. We have to be their voices. Why did we go to war? Because we're supposed to protect our people. So now we are coming to politics to do that, to protect our people. That's the only thing. So I'm talking freely. I'm doing this freely. It's not because I hate the officials here. It's not about that. But I hate the things that they're doing to our people. So I don't think they are leaders enough to do this. I don't think they are even human enough to do this. Because when our people is starving, they are not giving them. So if I can be a voice, if you can be a voice, if 10 people can be a voice, it's enough for now. Tomorrow there will be hundreds. Then the day after tomorrow there will be thousands and millions. So we can make a peaceful revolution out of that. So we have to teach the people. We have to show them the way. So that's what I'm saying. Every Tigray, one Tigray can make a difference. Actually, one person can make a difference. So if I can be a voice, if I'm not scared enough, I'm not scared of anything right now. So I'm not scared because I think I'm doing the right thing. I think I'm doing the right thing for my people, for Tagaros. So if I say my people are not supposed to die, and then if the other guys say you're not talking clearly and then you're not doing anything right, then I don't care about them, because I'm still going to be the voice of my people, and then I'm going to help my people. So if I want one guy, if I can do that, and then with the help of my party, as I told you, I'm press secretary and WUNAT like Tigray Independence Party, TIP. So my party is helping me to accomplish my dream. So my dream is my party's dream, and my party's dream is Tigray's people's dream. So we have to do that. Even though if we are 10 people, 10 guys, if we are 100 or thousands, we'll do more. Trust me, we can be 10 today, and then we're going to be 20 tomorrow, and then we're going to be 100 and thousands after that. We just don't have to give up hope.
Okay, so like you mentioned, your struggle is within a political entity as well as an individual. You do both. So what are you within your political party, or you as Shewit? What are you doing to change the society's views on nationalism, to cultivate nationalism? Because clearly you think nationalism guarantees the security of the survival of the people of Tigray. So if that's the case, what kind of grassroots work, or what kind of work that changes the mind frame of the society? What kind of work are you doing?
Okay, the first thing we're doing is the peace. We have to make sure our people are still safe. So we are doing all our best to notify the warlord, and for the Shabians to go out of Tigray. We don't need them here, and then they have to leave immediately. And then the Fanos, they have to leave immediately. So that's the first thing. The first thing we do is that is a peace, and then the second thing is our people have to have food. We are getting food from the world organization like WFP, so that's nice, and we are grateful for that. So we have been writing some letters, and then we've been going to the WFP offices here as a party, and then we have told them that to reach out to the people to give them every food necessary, and then they're not supposed to give them to the government. So they were sharing with the government, and the government wasn't giving them the food needed. So we have told the WFP, and then we have give them a letter to give to the people themselves. So I think that's going a little bit so well. So the second thing, first thing is peace, and the second thing is food for our people. And then we'll go from that because we have to go step by step, baby steps. So the most important thing right now is for our people to get peace and then food. So we are working on that. And then next step is going to be the people have to go to their daily based lives. So we need a budget, we need our money. We are still with, whether we like it or not, we're still with Ethiopia. So even if we are a country, we're gonna share the loan. That's the must. So if we are going to share a loan, so now we want our budget, and then we want it now for our teachers, for our doctors, for all the government officials working here. They need money. So we are asking questions about that for the banks to open widely. So that's going to be our third work. So from that, we're still going to keep our work. And then we are starting today. We are asking the diaspora communities and then the Tagars in Ethiopia, and we are asking them to start a peaceful revolution. We want them to say enough is enough, because while we are working to defend our peace, and while we are working to give our people hope of they will survive tomorrow, and then while we are working to give them food, here the government is not allowing us to work about that. I don't mean that they are saying no, but they are not giving them the food. They are taking them for themselves. They are giving them like 20 kilos per person, and then they are taking back the 10 kilos. I don't know why. Even when they are taking back the 10 kilos, they are asking them to pay up like 40 birr or 50 birr. I don't know why, because the reason is they're taking it from themselves. For example, last time fuel came to Tigray, the Ethiopian government said within 6 months they gave 1.3 million liters to Tigray. So this Tigrayan government didn't say anything about that, but they said we have received the fuel. So the fuel came to the people for the transportation, but they are still using it for themselves. Nobody's getting any fuel. So we are working so hard, but here the so-called government is not allowing us to do anything. And then the third part is the government is not against us. It's against the people. He's saying he's caring for the people and still against for the people. So I want to make announcement as a part of my party and as part of an individual. The diaspora community all over the world has to say no, enough is enough. And the Ethiopian government, Tagaru in all over Ethiopia must have say enough is enough. So if you can do that, we can go to the next step. So I think that's it for now.
Okay, so thank you so much, Shewit. That has been a very insightful discussion, very interesting. It's really good to get to know your viewpoints and where you stand on a lot of things. I think this will be just my last question. So going forward in all of this, who do you think should lead the sentiment of nationalism to actually bring the sentiment into something that's actionable, into reality? Who should lead that? Is it the political party, such as your party? Should it be led by a movement in the civil societies? Should it be led from grassroots movement from the people? How do you think the sentiment is going to emerge into something that's actionable?
Okay, as a party member, we are going to lead this revolution, but this revolution is not about a party. It's about the people of Tigray. So, for example, if they say our party must lead this country, we are happy to lead this country, but we need another parties. We need the opinion of our professors, our doctors, our engineers all over the world. We won't share power because we are not in need of power. We are in need of helping our people. So we are saying TPLF must be removed 100%. We are saying 20% is enough for TPLF. And then if we can take 20%, if we can make 20% for the diasporas, if we can make 20% for doctors and the engineers, so in all, it will be 100%. So the revolution must be determined on the people of Tigray, on the people of Tagaro. So they are waiting. Honestly, they are waiting, but we don't want to make it messy. That's the whole truth, because we don't want any Tigray to die because of a revolution. But we are saying we need, honestly, we need peacefully to share power, because there are so many engineers and doctors and then professors, or so many people that can help Tigray. They have the full capacity of helping Tigray. So we need those kind of people. We need young ideology, young thinking. So we have to come all together to make this very successful.
Okay, so thanks Shewit for answering that last question as well, and even for your taking out some time from your day. And I know it's very difficult to get network over there, so thank you for taking that time out and having this conversation with me. I think this conversation is maybe the start of many, because we need conversations that are very open and free, just so that we can, we have to create a society that allows people to speak on what they want and disagree. And people who disagree should come on one platform and be able to engage, because that's the way we can better our society. That's the way we can create this this acceptance of differing ideology, being able to actually debate it out and debate in front of the people, because that's the level of sophistication and civilization that exists in Tigray. The people are sophisticated enough to handle that kind of discourse. So I think a lot of these kind of conversations need to happen, maybe with differing ideologies, with people who have very different ideologies from yourself, Shewit. So I think it's great that there's a lot of platforms now that are able to host these kind of things. And thank you so much for joining us. I really do appreciate it, and for you taking our time out. I think that would be it for today. And hopefully you'll be our guest at a much later period where things have changed, our environment has changed. Tigray is also in a better condition. And we hope to have you back. And thank you for your time, Shewit. Much appreciated.
Okay, thank you for everything. And I would like to say in Tigrinya, ክብርን ሞገስን ጀጋሩ ስዋዕትና. So thank you.
Thank you, Shewit. Thank you for watching Inside Tigray. We will be back next time with more topics and more guests.